Let's kick in. And we're live. What's going on, beautiful treeple? My name is Matt Latham. I am a board certified master arborist and registered consulting arborist, wherever it is, somewhere in there. Right there. Yeah. So what's up, guys? Thanks so much for being here. This is Ask an Arborist live Q&A, and we are going to go through your questions. We've had just unbelievable growth lately, you guys. So, and just so y'all know, right now, we started this, about 10 months ago, and we are currently at a pace of growing. Let's see what it is. Hold on. I'll just double check. I'll give you the real numbers right here and there. Right here, right now, because this is super cool. We have watched this grow from like nothing to, we're currently at about 325 people joining in as members every single week, and it's just getting crazier and crazier. So we've got a great night tonight. Ton of phenomenal questions here to go through. And y'all, I'm just excited to be here with you. Thank y'all again for being here. Again, we are at 2243. I think before even this last weekend, we had crossed the 2,000 member mark. So that's really exciting. And it's all because of you guys. So thanks so much for all your awesome questions and for the little community that we're building here, guys. It's really fun for me because we're seeing so much participation, so many great answers and some terrible answers, so many great questions and some terrible questions. And we're gonna go through them. So let's hit it. We're starting off with Patrick Casey. This is back on the 22nd. That's a week ago, y'all. That's how far behind we're getting. So we're gonna burn through these really quick tonight. So don't miss it. Pay attention. And if you got questions, feel free to drop a comment, whether you're listening on YouTube, Facebook, Facebook group, or LinkedIn. We're just glad you're here. So feel free to drop us comments. I am watching this live as we go, but I'm not paying 100% attention because I'm probably answering your questions. So let's get right into it. Patrick's asking, what am I doing wrong with my poor blueberry bushes? I don't know without more context, but it does indeed look like you've got a drainage or a watering issue. It really depends, too, where you're at. Where are you at, Patrick? Hello? Gotta love this internet when all the neighbors are getting home for... Oh, Ponder, Texas. Okay, I know Ponder. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, you're in a very, very hot area for blueberries to grow. They love a good, nice, cool climate up north, somewhere, anywhere. There's a lot of places blueberries grow really, really well. Unfortunately, Texas is not one of them. It is possible, and I've got some of the high bush varieties growing for some clients of mine. And there's some hybrids actually. If you're down here in the Houston area, there's a really cool place called Tree Search Farms. Let me just pull it up here. Oops, pert near good enough. Heidi Sheasley is such a cool human being. She just is really passionate about bringing viable fruiting plants to the Houston area. So that's a great place to get it. They do have some really great high bush varieties. I forget what it's called. Climax variety is one of my favorite, and Legacy is one of my favorite blueberries out there. It's got that like tart to go along with the sweet. So, and I do have some clients, like I said, that we've done this for, so I know very well. I've got 2 blueberries in my backyard myself. So here's the thing with blueberries. They need really, really, really good drainage. So let's see, how often are you watering? Great question, Trey. I water every 2 weeks, but I'm sure they get a little water from the sprinkler system every other day as well. Your blueberries are getting roasted or drowned, rather, and roasted, it looks like. They are getting drowned. They need, the thing about blueberries, they need really, 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 really good drainage and a slightly acidic soil. You want to get like 6 pH or lower, and you want to have really good drainage on those blueberries. So I think you probably want to put that in a planter. Let it recover a little bit, and then once you get a good, healthy, thriving canopy, then maybe put it on an elevated, like build up a mound of artificial soil, not artificial, keep it natural, of course, but build that mound up and put the blueberry on top. That way the water drains out really nicely. And that's a good way to get them established and started very quickly. But yeah, two every other day, way too much. And your grass doesn't want that either. So slow it the frig down. Put some good organic matter in that soil. Make sure that it's got plenty of compost. I love humates. Humates are a brilliant thing. Let me do something real quick. ondemand.com/myshopify.com. This is a really great product. We actually just had a gal the other day purchase some, so I'm getting that shipped out to you. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on your name, but I'm getting that shipped out to you tomorrow morning. So thank you again for your purchase. But this is some really awesome stuff that will help to chemically flocculate the soil and allow for a little bit better drainage. But that's a great way to start. You want to get that pH down to, like I said, about 6 or lower. Those blueberries they need acidity and they need great drainage. And it looks like you've got, if you're in Ponder, Texas, hold on, I think where is that? I know that. Is that on the east side? I've been to Ponder, or maybe through there. Oh, it's up by Denton. Okay, north side. Sorry, that's why I know it. That's up in my old stomping grounds, northwest side. So I had a bunch of clients in Flower Mound and even some in Denton, a few in North Lake, Justin, Roanoke, all over there. So this is my old stomping. I grew up in Plano, Texas, just so y'all know, North Texas area. That's why I recognize Ponder. I love Denton County. Denton County is a neat area. So anyways, yeah, you need some better drainage, and you've got kind of an acidic soil there, not too great, and you're going to have to get up the ante a little bit on the drainage there. So hope that helps, and we are moving on. Amy's asking, I'm worried about our maple tree out front. It started getting these holes in the spring. Is there anything we can do? The branches and tree looks totally fine to me, but I'm no expert. Here's the thing. So tree health and tree structure are often two very different things. Now, I do see some ants at the bottom. If you've got carpenter ants, that is a really good sign that you've often got decay. Thank you, Lindsay Purcell, for pointing that out. As you know, I always said they take advantage of the already damaged tissue, but it is like Lindsay Purcell was saying, it is definitely a sign that they're going after some sort of decay there. So where you at, Amy? I don't know. So that hole on a silver maple is a great sign of not good future for that tree. Maples are not the best compartmentalizers. They're beautiful trees, and they can look perfectly healthy and be perfectly structurally decrepit. So you want to make sure that we get a good tree risk assessment on that. I'm happy to take a look at it myself. Just so y'all know too, let me backtrack just a little bit. So I run a little company called arboristondemand.com. And we do essentially telemedicine for trees. We help people all over the U.S. and even some international folks really make good decisions with their trees. So this is our website. Feel free to join us. And I'm going to bring up a couple issues that we really need to look at a little closer in person. So I'm going to drop you a link here. What we need to do is what's called a tree risk assessment, because that all depends on where is the tree in relation to your house? Oh yeah, that's a good point, Guy. Hey, big shout out to Guy Mayer as well. I think I'm pronouncing that right, Guy. I'm sorry if I'm not. This guy is a phenomenal arborist. One guy that I keep saying Guy. That's fun. I look up to you, Guy. You have taught me a lot over the years. He used to teach this stuff. He used to do a what was that? Detective Dendro magazine in one of the industry magazines. He used to do this thing called Detective Dendro, I think is what it's called. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Guy, but essentially he goes through all these really unique situations, and you kind of got to use not only like practical knowledge or like real knowledge on trees, but you have to use that practically applied to those specific situations. And I remember several of them, offhand, but they were really, really good challenges that helped me to grow as a professional. And he used to do that once a month or so on the monthly magazine, maybe a little bit less, but phenomenal articles. And he's an ASCA member like me. Those guys in the blue. ASCA stands for the American Society of Consulting Arborists. Guy he's just a great wealth of knowledge and resources. And we have some really good conversations. I got to respond to you, so I forgot you did that, Guy, but just been slammed. So yeah, if you want, we can do a digital arborist consultation, Amy, and we can really figure out how's the tree doing, where's it at in relation to the things that could get damaged if it were to fail structurally. But yeah, you've got some decay there. You've got some fungal pathogens. You can kind of see the streaking of the discoloration, the mycelium. That's really unique to fungus. You do have a few little small exit wounds, but those are borers that they could have been there. That could have been part of why the tissue unalived. They could have been there just taking advantage of the unalived tissue. So that's a great question. It really depends on kind of the forensic history thereof. So hope that helped, Amy, and we are moving on. All right, Anonymous is asking, my neighbor's hemlocks have grown too far for the front, too large for the front yard. They want to cut the top 3/5 of the tree off. Not define too large, because I don't agree with that. Will they be able to do this without unaliving the tree? Will the top fill back in with fresh growth again? I'm assuming now is not the best time to do this because any fresh growth might unalive back during the winter here in New York. If this would work, when would be the best time of year to do it? I would actually wait until the end of winter, like right towards the very beginning of spring. Let's see what Michael's saying. Michael, again, he's another phenomenal arborist. Michael just had a baby, y'all. Let's hear it from Michael and his brave wife going through and filling the earth and multiplying. But he's a great dude, and that little girl of yours is well, good luck. She's got an arborist for dad. So I've got a little daughter too. So Michael, we're praying for you guys, and I'm just really excited for you. This is our first kiddo, I believe. So congratulations again, big guy. But he's basically saying, not uncommon. We gladly removed the old and resold them. Managed crews install and maintenance of the River Oaks, West University, Memorial areas of Houston. By the way, that's where all the rich folk live in Houston. Not all of them, but a lot of them. You may be able to reduce gradually over multiple growing seasons, but it will be a very intentional act over time. And if the trees shows stress, then such reduction should be postponed. Yeah, I agree. I think Michael got it spot on. I think I would do it in phases. We call them pruning cycles. Prune a little bit now, a little bit later, and a little bit later. Make sure you're watching the overall health and vitality of the tree, or the shrub in this case. But in theory, yes. And a couple things you could do actually to assist in that tree doing pretty well here. Where are we at? History. Because I know I had that. There we go. So, yeah, check out this stuff. This is going to be brilliant to keeping the tree somewhat healthy as you do these crazy and dramatic pruning wounds. But this will give it some extra resources to compartmentalize and seal those wounds. The main thing is you don't want to overstress it. Yes, trees can be pruned. Yes, people have done some crazy. Think of bonsais. Bonsai, you're coming in and you're literally removing every leaf or branch on the tree, and then you're regrowing that canopy. So plants are really unbelievable living creatures, and they are genetically programmed for survival. And a lot of them, that looks like some sort of a pine or cedar or spruce or something. So maybe not in this case, but most deciduous trees actually have the ability to regrow canopy after it's pruned. So yeah, I would take Michael's advice and maybe throw some of those extra resources on it to give it some TLC and some love. So hope that helps, Anonymous there. And we're moving on. Amy Jo's asking, I have borers in my pine tree. It looks pretty stressed out. Lots of sap. Had an arborist come out. But my question I forgot to ask is it worth injecting it or should I just remove it? That's a very, very, very weighted question, Amy Jo. And if you want a second opinion, again, I'm happy to hop on a digital arborist consultation with you. And we can take a look at it in person. But yeah, that's a very weighted question. The right answer is it depends. I don't know. I don't know. We really got to look at it. It's just like people, some people spent their whole lives eating healthy food and taking care of their body and exercising and working out, whatever. Like they took care of themselves, and they can go out on a binger every now and then, or they can eat some junk food every now and then. Yeah. I feel by the price of injecting it every year, it'll cost me more to cut down. I feel that if it costs more in the long run, I might as well take it down and plant something else there that won't be infected. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and that's again one of those that we really have to weigh it on a case by case scenario because it depends. That's the right answer. And especially like wherever you are too, some areas, okay, Michigan's got some really bad pine bark beetle issues there. So yeah, that would be it depends answer. And I'd love to help you make the right choice there if we can. So we're moving on. Lori's asking, we are considering purchasing a lot that looks at a fishing pond. Cool. Different developer in charge of the pond planted these trees. Should I be concerned that as these trees grow, we will lose our view? Yeah. In how many years would you guess that may be? Thank you in advance for your information. You're Boulder, Colorado. Yeah, but honestly, I'm not even going to lie. I think that would be a good thing because beyond that view of the pond, which doesn't even look like it has water in it, it looks like you've got just a bunch of ugly friggin' houses back there. So I would say probably, I would say, yeah, you're probably going to lose some of your vista is what we call it, the vista pruning style. You might lose a little bit of your view, but I think if you go in and just raise it up, and you may need to get permission from the HOA or whoever's managing that, you might be able to raise it just enough up as the trees grow to get that view while blocking the neighbors' ugly, stinking homes back there. And if y'all know me, if I had my choice, I would not be here with all this fancy woo technology and all that. I'd be out in the mountains, disappeared, and just hanging out with my family and doing cool things out there. So I love a good view. I do not like views with brick and mortar. It's just gross. Humble opinion. I don't know. You're in Boulder, so Colorado. People don't move to Colorado so they could be in the urban jungle. They move there for the nature purposes and the dry mountain air. But anyways, hope that helps, Lori. Yeah, I think you'd lose some of it eventually. I don't think that's a huge loss. Those pines are going to want to grow tall. I can't really see exactly what they are. I do see some deciduous trees back there. But yeah, I think with a little bit of creative pruning and strategic pruning, you'd probably find. We're moving on. Leslie's asking, need help. We built a barn dough over a year ago among a bunch of beautiful trees. We had a huge whiteout close to our pool. We started seeing these black bugs dropping into the pool. Before you knew it, that tree unalived and we had to cut it down. Since then, I have 2 more. Years later, I have another huge tree in my front yard that is starting to turn brown. My landscaper sprayed it twice, and its leaves continue to turn brown. Please help. I don't want to lose this tree. Let me tell you the thing about landscapers and spraying stuff is it's usually a bad idea, in my experience, in my opinion. Here's the thing. If you can manage trees in a natural sense, that is always, always, always better. Here's what that means. Is how you go to the doctor and the doctor gives you antibiotics and then you get sick afterwards? Well, the problem is not that it didn't do its job and unalive the bacteria or the virus or whatever it is. The problem is it unalived everything, including the beneficial bacteria in your stomach. So what you have to do, you have to go take probiotics. So here's what I see. We built a barn dough over a year ago among a bunch of beautiful trees. That tells me a lot right there. I would say that unless you did some things to make sure that the contractors didn't destroy your trees, chances are they probably destroyed your trees. And white oaks in particular are pretty sensitive to root damage. Those bugs, I don't recognize them. I can't really tell what's going on there, but let me get you one quick little book real quick. 1 second. What's up? I'm back. All right, so I think it's this one. Yeah. This is a really cool book. It's called Trees and Development, a technical guide to preservation of trees during land development. These are 2 of the foremost experts in my industry. Hey, what's up, JK? Glad you're here. Retrenchment. Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going on. I think there was some severe root damage. I think the root flares were probably buried. It looks like they did some things with rocks down there. I don't know what that is. Maybe they put some drainage in. I think they have just destroyed this tree. Here's the thing about white oaks. White oaks are great. They don't like to have their roots messed with, like hardly at all. So this book, what's really cool about this book is they've got a little section in here, one of the appendixes, and it basically is relative tolerance of selected species to development impacts. This is a brilliant book. And if your contractor doesn't have this book, they're doing it wrong. And if they don't hire an arborist to come in and consult and figure these things out and make sure that the tree is going to be okay, they're doing it wrong. So the fact that they came in with a barn dough and it doesn't sound like there were any type of tree preservation plans or protection ordinances or anything like that. But in here, they've got all these different cool tree species and how they handle development. And this is like decades and decades of research. So let me see if I can find white oak here, because I know it's in here. Dogwood, bay, cedar, sweet gum, tupelo, spruce, cherry, pear, oak, coast. Here we go. White oak, Quercus alba. That's hilarious. There's 3 different listings and they're all different because there's 3 different studies that they pull from. White oak, poor, moderate, good. A common survivor of construction activity. Tolerant response constrained by soil aeration and water availability. So, JK, in answer to your question, yes, water availability and soil aeration. That's what you need to do, Leslie. You've got to get some oxygen and some air down to the roots there. And yes, retrenchment is I think that's like the very beginning of where we're at. Leslie, I got to tell you, you got a long road ahead of you because it takes 3 to 7 years before you really start to see how the tree responds to that construction damage. But here's another note from a different study. Intolerant of root loss and saturated soils. So I do see some maybe drains here you got, Leslie, but I really see they kind of they changed the terrain, it looks like, especially where all this pretty grass is down on the closest to the camera side. But in my experience, white oaks are like one of the worst at tolerating any kind of change in the soil. So I think you've got to get some oxygen down there or some air. Is maybe the right terminology, but I'd love to get on there and maybe help you out, figure out what we need to do. There's some cool things that you guys can do at home, or you can, James said, call a local arborist with the area code of your area immediately. I would only counter that by saying we can do digital consulting just as well. Hey, look, if doctors and PhDs can do it with telemedicine, I think arborists can too. And 9 times out of 10, we're able to find a great answer. So yeah, I agree. You got to get somebody out there, at least digitally, to figure out what needs to be done. And then you got to follow that to a T. So hope that helps, Leslie. We are moving on. Shall I cut it down, or is it still a good tree? The previous homeowner clearly didn't look after it well. VAR and Quebec. The previous owner, they done messed that tree up. That's a technical term, by the way. This is, what is it, maple, I think? Looks like a maple. Some sort of sugar maple, I believe. Okay, so here's the thing about that VAR is they have done a technique called lion's tail pruning. I'm going to type that in for you. Yeah, it's a mess. I'm not even going to lie. Guys, whatever happens, stop hiring the guys with a chainsaw and a ladder. It's very bad. They don't know what they're doing typically. Now, my guys will use a ladder to access the tree because they don't want to climb just the rope because it's a little more energy spent. So I'm not horribly opposed to ladders as a whole, but what you've got is somebody, I call them the giraffe trees, is codominant branch hellscape. That is the right, okay, you're going to be an arborist soon, aren't you, JK? Because that's the right terminology. You'd fit well in the tree care world. What in the world is that codominant branch hellscape? That is every sort of wrong pruning practice that could have been done other than topping it, is what that is, JK. That is. Here's another book. Hold on. I gotta find the page because this is gross. This is one of my favorite books out there. It's by a guy named Ed Gilman, and Ed's one of the foremost leading experts when it comes to pruning in general, really is, but specifically structural pruning. I don't know if I'm going to find it. There's a whole, it's literally half a page of all the bad things that just happened to your tree and all of the future problems that you'll have with it. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. I'm really sorry you're dealing with this, or that's, yeah. It's not good. They have lion's tailed the daylights out of this tree and made an absolute mess of it. I'm not gonna find it in time. I don't want to take too long, and I know y'all are being patient with me, but essentially they have done what's called lion's tailing, which sets your tree up for failure. Now you absolutely can restore that, but it's going to take 5-10 years maybe. And so I don't know that it would be worth it, honestly, Var. I don't know. That's just a structural failure disaster waiting to happen. Just get the right winds in the right direction, and that tree is going to blow all to pieces. And no, I'm not a prophet. I've just seen it 1,000 times or two. So anyways, I'm sorry for the bad news. And again, like I said, if you want to get on a digital arborist consultation and try to restore it, I'd love to help you out. Or if nothing else, we can always just figure out a good replacement tree that's going to last you years. And I can even help you hire the right guys that aren't going to mess that up, because that is so messy. I do have some friends in Quebec, actually. So love to help you out if we can. Thanks for the question, Var. Northern British Columbia, Canada. I've noticed our trees turning brown. I'm assuming they're spruce trees. Is this from the spruce beetle? Some information has been very wet out. We have mostly clay for our grade. Just wondering if we were going to have to get rid of most of the trees, as most of them are starting to have the brown needles. It doesn't look like a pine to me. Spruce to me. It almost looks like a cedar, maybe. Hello, interwebs. Let's go. Figure your life out, internet. Yeah, that looks more. Actually, that does look like that's spruce. Yeah, white spruce maybe. Spruce are not my forte, by the way. I'm down here in Texas. We don't see them very often. I know. He's telling his animals to stop, and I'm like, I'm trying, dude. I'm trying to stop all these bad things from happening to y'all's trees. Yeah, I don't know what that is. That could be a Deodar cedar, but it looks like spruce to me. Yeah, you got something eating that. And let's see, British Columbia. I don't know the local people of British Columbia. What you're going to want to do. Ooh, look at all that. Yeah, look at all that. Those pitch tubes, y'all. Check it out. Yeah, you got some sort of beetle in there. Pitch tubes are on a spruce or pine or a fir or anything that has like needles versus leaves. Is often the tree trying to push out all that sap to capture the beetles. What you're going to want to do, and this is, again, one of those that we need to get on a digital arborist consultation. We got to figure out exactly what that specific epithet is. Like beetle infestation is generally secondary infestation. Yes. Lack of sunlight. Brown underneath is just attrition due to lack of sunlight. Yeah, that's normal. For the lower leaves to unalive is pretty normal. I'll agree with Torin there. Great observation. The beetles are going to be secondary. So most of the time, and there are exceptions, there are critters that come in and just wipe out whole species of trees. Most of the time, any type of pest or pathogen is going to be a secondary infection. In fact, I've had people argue with me on this. It's hilarious because if you look in the arborist certification study guide, right there in the manual that you read to go and become a certified arborist, one of the first things it says is pests are generally secondary, and pests and pathogens are typically secondary infestations or infections. Almost always the tree starts out being stressed, and then the beetles and the pests and the pathogens and all that come in and they take advantage of that already stressed tree. So yeah, like I said, if you want to get on a digital consultation, I'd love to help. Again, I'm not the foremost expert when it comes to these types of trees, but we can at least get you pointed in the right direction and figure out what's causing the stress. You did mention that it's been very wet out this way, and you have mostly clay for our grade. So there's some things that you could do to increase the drainage and maybe help the trees out and increase the aeration a little bit. So moving on. Newly planted weeping willow planted a week ago started showing yellow leaves, which seem to be spreading. I've tried to research to figure out the problem. Stress from transplanting, overwatering, underwatering, fungus. Our soil has a lot of clay. I added some soil mix into the hole when we planted it. Been utilizing the water bag, which holds 20 gallons of water. I've refilled it 3 times since it was planted a week ago. Holy cow. Oh my goodness. Leanne, stop watering that freaking tree. Oh my goodness. That is so much. 20, that you put 60 gallons in 1 week. That tree needs like 5 gallons a week. Soil felt moist when I checked it. Our neighbor has 2 willow 2 house down that's thriving. Really hoping I can figure out what the problem is. I think your problem is you've got way too saturated of a soil. Southern New Jersey. I don't know Southern New Jersey that well. I know Northwestern, actually. My wife and I spent a little time living in Sussex County. So if you know the area, Leon, that's, man, they call it the Garden State for a reason. In fact, when I started my little tree care company up there, it was Garden State Tree Care. And man, it's such a beautiful state. There's like several different ecosystems there. You got swampland, you got some mountains, you got some foothills, you got some prairie land, and then you got the city, which is like they just destroyed all the landscape. But beautiful soil, beautiful plants. Actually, that was when I first realized in New Jersey that Japanese maple can actually be an actual like shade tree. Like they're so cool. They get like 30 feet tall. They're just gigantic normal. Leanne, you got way too much. You got way too much water going on there. You've got to get that drainage going. Let's see if Christine has been posting some things. Yeah, that's what I was going for. You're on it. Well done, Christine. Leanne, watch those videos and take that advice. I think what you got to do is get some way more drainage to those trees because they are just, and stop that stupid watering bag. I hate those things because they just oversaturate and oversaturate. And it sounds like you refilled it 3 times in 1 week. Oh my goodness, that is so stinking much water. So yeah, you got to get it to drain. That's the big problem there. I think if you take those stressors away from oversaturation, you're gonna have a great looking tree. Weeping willow, you got it down by the pond. It will, I think, pond. It looks kind of like a lowland area. But if I know New Jersey, during the summer, it rains like every day there. It was cool. I loved it. So I hope that helps. We're moving on. I think our fruitless mulberry tree is going. It's splitting at that trunk. The one side started leading about 3 days ago. The one limp limb is cracked. All right, let's take a look at it. Christine actually she dealt with this with her future purchase on her home. And that was actually a real crack. Oh goodness. Yeah, that's a horizontal crack or vertical crack rather. That tree is failing. Now that does not mean that you've got to get rid of it. It does mean that this tree has been pruned way too much over the years. It looks like somebody has come in and cut all the upward growth off of this tree and pollarded it and or topped it multiple times. That I'm not worried about so much as, where was it? This, oh my goodness. That is structural failure 101. That is exactly what's going on, Samuel. But like I said, that does not mean that you've got to get rid of it. I do see some really good, healthy green tissue coming in, some good growth. We call that wound wood tissue, or reaction wood is another term for it. Essentially, the tree is sealing those wounds with all that new tissue. So I'm seeing some really good signs. But man, that is a stressed tree structurally. So yeah, we've got to do some things to make sure that tree stays up in the air. That is one of my fortes. So if you want, I'm happy to, like I said, get on a kind of a tree risk assessment / consultation, and we can figure out exactly what needs to happen to structurally secure that tree. But yeah, I think you've got a mess on your hands structurally, but I'm good at cleaning up messes structurally. So love to help you if we can. Yeah, I'm, like I said, it looks to be in pretty good health, but you've got some really, where you at anyways? Prospect High School. I don't know. All right, we're moving on. Oh no, Z. Oh, I'm sorry, so sorry. That stinks. We hired a concrete specialist, by the way. Oh yes. Hey, I'm gonna go back to Samuel's here. Yes, bolting is an option there, along with cabling, along with some structural pruning as well. The structural pruning, I think, is going to be the most viable option because it doesn't look like there's a lot of things to bolt and cable to on this one. And that's a great question, JK. On this guy right here, this should not be bolted. And the reason being is because the top side of that is decaying. There are fungal pathogens that are actively eating that. And so we want to be careful not to bolt through the decay, because what will happen, let's go to the big screen. All right, so here's Samuel's limb, something like that. He's got a big decay point here. That's not accurate, but you get the point. So here's what happens. We come in with a bunch of cable or bolts and we secure it. Well, here's what happened whenever that happened is all of that decay has now been pushed through the rest of the limb. So where we did have an opportunity to structurally secure the tree, we've now actually made the situation worse. Not only that, but if this limb, if excess forces are pulled here, that bolt can actually pull right through the tree and it's gone. So when you bolt or cable into a tree, you got to absolutely make sure that the tree is structurally sound before bolting and cabling it. Otherwise, it can wind up in disaster. Yeah, basically inviting failure. Yeah, exactly. So that's one consideration, just one out of many that we have to look at whenever we're considering doing some structural support systems like cabling or like threaded rods or bolting a tree. But yeah, sometimes it's a great option in cases like this that we're looking at. Not a great option. What I would look into more is going beyond that point and maybe cabling, maybe coming out beyond the decay point and doing a structural support cable here, tying it back to whatever branch we can find in the middle of the tree. Also making sure that we're not cutting into decaying tissue, because again, that can just make sure that that it just fails very quickly and effectively. So we don't want that. Moving on though. So Z's asking 30-foot persimmon tree. So that's a mature tree on a persimmon. 36 inches around a 30-foot persimmon tree. They went in 28 inches and shredded the lateral roots. I see that. We were supposed to put the 3-foot concrete root barrier around the stump. What can we do to salvage the tree, and what is usually the rule to plant a concrete barrier around a tree? Well, number one, do not ever do it that close. That's very, 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 very bad. So all of those. So okay, let's get into a little tree physiology and physics 101. So right around the base of any tree is what's called the root plate. Plate, like your dinner plate. So let's say he's got a Z. I think that's how you pronounce it, right? Sorry if I'm wrong. So let's say this tree were 12 inches in diameter. What you can do is you can multiply that number by 5 to get 60 inches or 5 feet, right? So you've got about a 12-inch tree there. Maybe more, maybe less, but what you want to do is stay outside of that 5-foot area because one too many dot there. Because that is what's holding about 60 to 85% of the tree in the air. So by removing those roots around there, you have now completely, or your concrete guy did, they have now completely structurally destroyed that tree. Give it one good solid wind and the whole thing could easily come crashing down now. And so, yeah, I think if you are going to try to keep it, you're going to need to reduce some weight on the ends of it, make it less likely to fall over. The other thing, too, is y'all quit putting freaking concrete around trees like that if you can avoid it. You may be better off removing this tree, Z. I hate to say it. I'm never a big fan of being the bad guy here. But the other thing is you got to make sure to clean up those wounds. That's too late. Never mind. I lied. Yeah, I think if it does stay, yeah, JK's right. I think that tree is just a goner. I think they came in and we joke in the industry. We'll talk about a tree that is unalived, but it isn't unalived yet. I think that's a tree that's unalived, but it's not quite unalived yet. So I'm really sorry, Z, but yeah, that was messy. They shouldn't have done that, and they probably told you, oh yeah, we do it all the time. It's okay. Anyways. Gotta love contractors. They give me a job. Anonymous asking, how much damage did my neighbor do to my tree? What do you mean? What? You can always use a wood filler? That's not a thing, y'all. Are you talking about the posted no trespassing? Is that what I'm seeing here, Anonymous? I don't know. If it is, it's probably okay. It's toast, cut it down. Oh, that's garbage. It's toast, cut it down. That's such a, we were joking. So most tree companies, tree care company or tree surgery companies are actually tree killing companies. They remove trees and they do silly things like topping and like pruning like excessively and things like that. So it's toast, cut it down. That may be my favorite comment here on this Ask an Arborist group. Not accurate. Yeah, that's minimal damage. I don't think it's going to do a lot of damage, but it wouldn't hurt to give the tree a little extra resources. Make sure it's got plenty of irrigation, but not too much. Looks like you got a rocky soil, so you may be able to water a little bit more. But where you at? I don't know. Anyways, hope that helps. Yeah, not a goner. Don't have to cut it down yet. The one before, JK was right. Goner, cut it down. Or, just make sure that nothing is under it when it does come crashing down. So, hope that helps, guys. Anyone know what this is? That's a grapevine, I think. Wild grapevine. Yeah, that's a grapevine. Or are you looking at this, Jason? What are we talking about here? That looks like it could be a pecan, sumac, maybe. Pecan. That's definitely grape. I don't know what all the rest of that is, though. You got a lot going on there. That could be Buckeye. That could be so many things. You're gonna have to be more specific there, Jason. I don't know. North Michigan University. Yeah, I don't know. To me, it looks like pecan here, or maybe hickory or something of that nature. You've got a whole jungle here. Is really what you got. But yeah, I don't know. The identification on that's definitely a grape. Those are some trees. I don't know what they are. Hope that helps. Hello, group. Found these egg-like infestation on a newly planted Thuja occidentalis. That is an arborvitae. Is this cedar tip miters? No, it's not a cedar. How can this be controlled and managed properly? Here's the thing: is you can actually just use Dawn soap. Ooh, edible? Questionable. Probably really, really, really bitter fruit, JK. Edible, probably. Worth it? Probably not. A lot of agriculture, by the way, is not like when we look in the wild and we find let's just say a citrus, for example. Chances are that the fruit is not edible. It is edible, but it's not worth it. So what they do is they tag that's a great question. Let's talk a little bit about genetic splicing. So most fruit trees are not just one tree. They're actually multiple. So you've got what's called a rootstock. That's the really hardy stuff that is able to handle stress. And then you've got grafted onto here is the fruit stock. It usually looks something funny like that. There's usually a little knob here or something. That one's got cancer or just ate too much American food. And then you've got the fruit stock. The fruit stock is where you get the really juicy, sweet, delicious food. The root stock is what keeps it alive during the winter or during periods of stress. So whenever you see like a wild grape like this we were looking at, is it edible? Maybe. Oh, you can't see me. Hold on. You can't see the picture. There we go. Is it edible? Yeah, probably. But is it worth it? Probably not, honestly. Can you eat it? Sure. But I don't know. Humble opinion. I get my food from the grocery store, and we grow some outside too. But yeah, okay. Moving on though. Great question there, JK. Thank you for that. Found these egg-like infestations on newly planted Thuja occidentalis. An entomologist might be able to figure that out. I don't recognize that specifically, but here's what you can do. Where are you at? Come on, y'all. All right, we don't know. Here's what you could do is I set up this little blog. If you're in the United States, is go to this website, and what you could do is find your local agriculture extension, and you can send it off to them. They are going to be the foremost go-to experts. A lot of those guys have decades and decades of experience. But honestly, if it's not harmful to the tree, leave it alone. Let that be bird food. If it is harmful, a lot of times you could just hit it with high pressure or Dawn soap, and that'll unalive those little critters in there. So you got what, 1.5 million right there. It's not going to hurt to get rid of 1 million of them. So hope that helps. We're moving on. Should apple trees be pruned every spring or every other? Great question. So yes, it's best actually to do it in winter. So that's a great point, Torin. Thank you for that. And looking for production, cut the runners every year. So yeah, that's a great point. We'll go back to the drawing board for this one. So we talked about rootstock and fruit stock. Apples sometimes will do the same, especially if you're down here with me. Is the apples don't just grow naturally. You can't just stick an apple in the ground. You got to have a really solid rootstock and a really solid fruit stock. But essentially, like, here's your branch. So all of the apples are going to have these little spines on them, and that is what produces the actual fruit. Let's see if I can draw an apple. I can't draw an apple. I'm just going to do that, and this can have a leaf out of it. So y'all get the point. But essentially, they're going to put off like this excess growth on the ends to get leaves there, and then they're going to have these little tiny spines. They're almost like thorns, but they're not as sharp and pokey. And that's what's going to produce all the fruit. You want to preserve these guys at all costs. Leave the spines alone, and that will actually create a lot of good health for them. But yes, you actually do want to prune some of the ends of it off. And the reason being is that's going to push a lot of the resources into those spines instead of on the leaves. But yeah, winter is always best on most pruning activities. And yeah, it's okay. You can prune them every year. Most apple and fruiting trees, you actually do want to maintain a little bit more religiously, litigiously, whatever. Just like do it every year, just about. If you're looking for fruit production. So yeah, apples happen to be one of those that yes, you should. Peaches are the same way. We're moving on. Shaylin's asking, I stupidly put a slow, I love that word, slow watering bag on my weeping redbud that was 4 to 5 feet tall. As the bag was emptying, the weight shifted and it snapped the trunk of the tree, and I was devastated. That's fair. I think I understand that often they're grafted to an eastern redbud. What kind of tree was it? Weeping redbud. Oh, yes. Yeah, they are grafted. My question is, what is sprouting now? Is an eastern redbud or another weeping redbud? Below is a picture of the leaves and the base of the tree. Thank you. Well, let's take a look at it. Let's see. It depends where it grew back from. If it grew back on the rootstock, then yes. So we were talking about fruit, y'all. We were talking about fruit being grafted. A lot of trees are actually a lot of trees. That looks like rootstock. That could be fruit stock. That could be. Let it grow. Let it grow, Jalen. See what happens. Where'd you say you were? Midlothian or Waxahachie, right? Hey, what's up? I actually have taken care of some unbelievably cool trees in Waxahachie, Texas. There are some. It's a kind of an older town in the historic district. Man, I had this one pecan tree that was easily 6 foot in diameter that I cared for. It was about, I think, like 3 or 4 inches away from the house. They actually kept cutting the house out to allow the tree to expand over whatever 100 years that had been there plus. Yeah, let it grow. If it starts to form that weeping, that's going to be your real determining factor. Also, as the bag was, I stupidly put a slow watering bag. I love that because I hate those things. They're so bad for trees. So yeah, keep an eye on it. Keep tabs on it. I'd love to find out more, but to me, it looks like it could be coming from above the root graft. But typically, yeah, they're grafted onto an eastern just because the easterns do well and the weeping varieties don't. So hope that helps. We're moving on. And when you have any idea what the white spots are all over my bur oak's bark, bur oak is my favorite tree, by the way. Jeff, great tree. Way to plant awesome trees. Actually, I don't think that's a bur oak. Sorry, I think it's some sort of white oak. Oh no, that could be a bur oak. Yeah, you're right. Those don't look like anything to me. They look like little lenticels, the openings. Need a better pick. Get a close up. Yeah, I don't really see anything wrong with that. Actually, bur oaks have that. So there's a lot of different bark decay fungus. So that's very common for fungal pathogens to come in, and they're not actually pathogens for the tree. They're just consuming the bark. Very normal. Perenniporia is one of the more common ones that I see. I know I'm spelling that wrong. Perenniporia, real common. They're not actually eating the tree. They're just eating the bark. Very normal. It's not pretty looking, but yeah, I see that as a bark fungus. I don't see that as a pathogen, but I could be wrong. So I agree. Send us some more pictures there, Jeff. That'd be great. But hope that helps. We're moving on. Stacy's asking, hi, I have an Easter red bud. I want to see if there's any pruning or shaping I need to do to help it better achieve its best shape plus growth, or is it good looking? I'm only in my second year of gardening, so thank you for any help. Hey, that's fantastic, Stacy. I love that you're picking up new good habits. I would let it grow right now. Honestly, I would let it grow, start seeing where the canopy is developing. And let me draw you just kind of a brief introduction to if there were such a thing as a perfect tree. This is what it would look like. And this is not accurate, by the way. So there's always exceptions. There's no such thing as a perfect tree. If there were, though, it would look like one main stem, everything else branching subordinately like a pyramid. That is the shape that trees prefer. That creates a real strong, solid tree. And essentially, you really want at least 2/3 of it covered. Now, that deciduous tree of yours, that little red bud, does not have that same shape. And so naturally, it's going to want to grow more out than it does up. And so what you want to do is just make sure that other branches are not actually competing for dominance. So for now, let it grow. Leave as many leaves on that tree as you possibly can. What's going to happen is you'll start forming these permanent branches that will become the overall general shape. What you don't want is for some of these lower branches to start competing for the top of the tree. You want to subordinate these. So essentially make them shorter. Don't top them. That's very bad. Very, very bad. Don't top trees. But what you can do, let's say you've got a branch that you're starting to worry about coming in and competing for dominance. Well, you can actually reduce that branch back to a good lateral branch, and you can remove everything above that. What that'll do, that will temporarily stunt the tree from putting resources into that particular. Oh, wait, y'all need to see me, don't you? What's up? That will temporarily stunt the growth of that primary limb that you're reducing. That will allow the remaining branches to come and start to take over. We call it apical dominance. Apical dominance. And what you want is for that apical dominance to be in the primary branch. You don't want that apical dominance to go to lateral branches. Now, again, perfect tree is a Christmas tree, I guess. That's funny. Yeah, no, that's the perfect shape, anyways. And it's funny because I had a guy that I know. He had a company called aperfecttree.com, and it was funny because they ain't no such thing, homie. And he's a board certified master arborist like me too. So, like, why are you naming your company that when you know it doesn't exist? He knew his stuff. But yeah, essentially, Stacy, as the tree's growing, you want to just prune it to have a strong structure, and that's going to create just less problems for you long term. So that's really important. And again, if you want a little closer look, we can always do a digital consultation. Regarding care, yeah, I think that's solid advice, Eileen. Thank you for that solid advice. But regarding actual care, give it some extra resources. I will say this, Stacy, your root flares are buried. That's going to be really important to get that mulch away from the trunk there, because long term that'll breed all sorts of fungal pathogens. But yeah, you've got I think it sounds like the majority of people are saying, yeah, leave it alone. Leave it alone, Stacy. Just let it grow. what you can do is maybe remove that lowest limb there. That's not ideal, but honestly, I just let it grow. Give those leaves a chance to produce for the tree before you go hack chopping and slicing them off. So hope that helps. We're moving on. It's the fourth well-established plant I've lost in the past few years. My trees go from healthy to this in a matter of weeks out of the blue. It's you say that, there's always a story behind it. I'm in northern Michigan. Any thoughts? Feel frustrated. Let's take a look at it. Say, oh, that's not the prettiest thing in the world, is it? It could be mites. I don't think it's mites. I think that's more. It almost looks like a fungal issue. I'm thinking fungus, honestly, but I'm not sure specifically what it is. So what you're going to want to do, you said northern Michigan, contact the Michigan. Who is that? I don't know Michigan. Maybe I should call them and say what's up. Michigan State University Extension. So that's going to be your go-to. Just just reach out to them and send them a, kind of a good synopsis of what you've been experiencing. Yeah, that could be beetle damage. That's what I was wondering is maybe pine bark beetles too. Taurins maybe on the right path there, but pine bark beetles are pretty easy actually to mitigate. Might be able to fumigate, put in some soil spikes. Bugs are secondary. Is that area really wet? Not really. It's on the edge of our yard, which has sprinklers, but definitely not swampy or spongy. I'd check a little further down. Same thing, had an arborist and suggest to inject it. I have beetle borers. Not sure I can save it really. My dilemma is $250 a pop every year or $900. Got to cut it down. I think I'll take it down, unfortunately, just an FYI. I'm southeastern Michigan. So yeah, here's the thing. You don't always have to do that. Sometimes you can I've actually had better success treating pine bark beetles with a spray. I believe it was permethrin was recommended. Permethrin's a really good, and it's an easy one to kill. Excuse me, on a live. Sorry, face webs. Sorry, YouTube. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to offend the social media little G gods. Limit up to the 30-foot ladder. Get the top off. The rest will be easy. Because it's tall, you're right. Maybe we can do it ourselves. No. That's an easy drop. You should be able to cut it for $50 and haul it off for $200. Find somebody else. I love it. Love this good conversation, you guys. That's amazing. Upper Michigan. Yeah, reach out to the extension there, though. Did I post that, Lucas? No, yes, I did. Okay, reach out to them. The other thing too, here's something that we don't talk about enough as an industry is bugs do not like high levels of available sugar. Leaves produce sugar. So if you have a healthy, thriving tree and it's producing plenty of sugars, then you are actually in pretty good shape. The tree is going to produce we call them allelochemicals, ALLELO chemicals. I think that's right. It's essentially like their immune system, right? So that's their basically they're kind of like our antibodies or our T cells or whatever. But here's a really cool fractometer. Here's a really cool tool that I use on a regular basis called a refractometer. It was actually designed in the 1860s, 18 with 1 of 8, not a 19, 1860s. So what's that, 160 years ago, give or take, plus or minus. But essentially what it does is it takes light. You got a little lens, you view through the little lens, and you take a drop of the plant chemical. So you take a mortar and pestle, grind up the leaves, get the liquid out of it, put it on the lens, and essentially what it's measuring is the sugar content on a cellular level. And I'm just going to look at this one, just see what's up with it. So that's not right. I disagree. I don't think you should spend $180, although that's probably a really high quality one. I was going for images though. Why didn't it give me images? Here we go. So if you see here, you've got kind of a little gauge, and essentially what you're looking for is you want something around the 12 and up range when it comes to trees. Most trees are going to sit around the 3 to 5 range. You really want it to get it way higher, because if you do, that means that those bugs are not going to make it very long chewing on your tree. And the reason being is because they don't have a pancreas. Every single bug that will chew on the tree was born without a pancreas. So here's your measure. Here's how it works. This is really cool technology. So you got a prism, you put the drop on it, light hits it, and it refracts it. Refractometer, right? That's the word. And essentially what it's doing is it's measuring how much light can go through there and at what angle. And so that's why you can kind of tell. And it's not like an exact measurement. This isn't going to do like parts per million on a cellular level, but that's essentially what it's measuring is the sugar level inside of the plant tissues and the plant cells. So that's going to be a really useful tool for any of you pros out there. Is I use it on a regular basis. I'll charge them $50 and take those plant samples back, grind it up a little bit, put the drop on there, check it out. You don't look at it through some light source, and but that's a really great tool. The reason it works is because the plants. Oops, hold on, I'm doing stupid things, accidentally hitting buttons. The pests cannot live in a high sugar content area. They don't have a pancreas. Pancreas is what they use to metabolize sugar and to process it. And if they don't have that, then it clogs them up and they go find another plant or they unalive. So yeah, we've had some really, really remarkable success treating trees with a high sugar content, like a high molasses content with the sprays, and add some permethrins in there. And that has had really, really good effects, especially when we can spray it way up high. The problem with pine bark beetles, or really any pest, is the multiplication factor. So most pine bark, like southern pine bark beetle, has a replication rate, I think, of 200 to 300 per life cycle. So that can happen in Houston, Texas. That can happen twice in a year. So do the math on that. 200 to 300 producing 200 to 300 each, and you've got an exponential problem very, very quickly. The good news is they don't live very easily. So a little bit of treatment, and that can go a long ways. So we're moving on. I've been struggling with this small tree for a while. It does good for a while and then goes south. I tried neem oil, several fungicide sprays. My question is, does this look like pest or something else? I'm not sure what type of tree it is. It looks like what is that? Almost looks like a red bud, but I don't think that's right. Virginia. That place is for lovers, I hear, right? Keep the grass away. I'll agree with Guy on that one for sure. I don't know. I can't even tell what kind of plant that is. That's an ugly one for sure. Do you use herbicide around that? Is that a poison ivy tree? That's my next question. They don't make those, by the way. They do, but they don't. They're bushes. They don't get like tree size. You get the vine version that'll grow 50 feet, 60 feet, 70 feet in the air, though. Trust me, we've done those jobs too. They're fun when you got to sanitize and sterilize all your equipment, including your ropes and your helmet and your safety glasses, because you got urushiol oil all over it. But it almost looks like a maple or maybe a box elder even. But yeah, you've got a really poorly planted tree. I think it's got some water issues. I think you've got some fungal issues going on, which is almost always a watering issue. Take that advice. Watch that video that Christine posted. Thanks again for all you do, Christine. Try some radial trenching. I think you've got a compacted soil around there too. Anaerobic. Yeah. I think she's spot on. And again, there's some really neat products out there. This is not a fertilizer so much as it is a biostimulant treatment. But try giving it some extra resources to this. The humates in that will actually help to allow more drainage into the ground as well. So here's a really great product also, the Microlife Humates. Plus, it's got humic acid, fulvic acid, and a whole host of other awesome things for the tree that will help to really, the main goal is not so much to treat the tree, it's to treat the soil, and that's what your tree grows in. So hopefully that helps, and let me know if we can help any further. Moving on. What kind of pines are these? Boulder, Colorado area. That would have been my guess. Ponderosa or Austrian. Yeah, the thing about arborists is, there's a guy named Dr. Alex Shigo who's considered the father of modern arboriculture. And he figured out a lot of how trees work And so that's why we call him that. But he used to say the three most important things to being a great arborist is A, know your tree, B, know your tree, and C, know your tree. A lot of times it really does help just to have a local guy just be able to identify it for you. There's a really cool app on your phone too. Let's see if I can find it. Hope y'all don't mind me wasting all of your time logging into my phone. It's called Picture This. I really like it. Even as professionals, like there's 27,000 different varieties of trees out there in the world. And this is just a great little resource. You can figure out what kind of tree is this. Let me see if I can just take a little picture of it and see what it's telling me. Yeah, to me, it looks like an Austrian or Ponderosa. I don't think it's an Afghan, but no, that's not Afghan. That looks like Austrian to me. Ponderosa, I was wrong. Way to go. Y'all stumped the arborist. Ponderosa pine. That's what this plant app is saying anyways. I check multiple sources. And again, one of the great things, best things you could do for your plants are to get to know your agriculture extension guys. Listen, those guys are a bunch of tree and plant nerds like me, and they love somebody asking great questions. They love to teach this stuff. So yeah, Ponderosa, it looks like Pedrito. Got it. Way to go, Pedrito. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. That's horrible if I did. But anyways, moving on. Linda's asking, anyone interested in these? I will be available on Thursday to come dig up for free. I'm going to move right on past that later. Jeff's asking, I had 2 30-gallon sycamore trees planted. Both lost most of the leaves in about 2 weeks. First of all, it's August, man. What are you doing planting trees? Where are they at? Tennessee, Florida, Tallahassee? Is that what it said? Tallahassee. Wow, it's freaking hot for planting sycamores in this weather. You do have good drainage in Tallahassee, though. I will say that. Edible. What was the edible? I wouldn't eat that. Is that what you're asking, JK? Where are we at? No, maybe it's something else. I don't know. Oh, okay. I missed it. Whoa, what's up? Treat the Soil finally made it to another one. Hey, what's up, Michael? Glad to have you. Thanks for being here. Oh, that's fun. I didn't know that. I've never tried grok. Grok. I don't know. Some of these robots, grok one, that one trips me out. No, I saw that, JK. My bad. I got scrolled up on my little window that shows where all y'all talking. Yeah, I was like, edible. What are you eating pines for? That's weird. Don't eat pines, bro. That's maybe pine nut. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So sorry, you guys. I got these fancy like gamer mouses or whatever. It's the G502 Hero from Logitech. It's a great mouse. I love it. I'm back. Yeah, sorry guys. It's got like one of these cool side buttons on it, but like when you push it, it always thank you. Glad to be back. Sorry guys. Technology is not my game, y'all. It turns out trees, I'm more into trees. I don't like technology, but yeah, looks like Ponderosa to me. This is we're not even gonna touch that because what are you doing? This is an international group. Linda, what are you doing? I don't even know where you're from. But hopefully you got those given away because hey, they're nice looking plants. You got some of those hostas, canna lilies. So yeah, hostas. Yeah, they're a little eaten, but not too bad. Hopefully you got rid of those plants and instead of having to throw them in the trash. But moving on. Okay, so we were talking about Jeff's tree. Lots of rain. There's irrigation that runs in the yard every 3 days. Is this normal? Yes. Sycamores do this really wonderful thing where they almost every summer, at least where I'm from, they drop their leaves. Also, homie, you got to get rid of this. What are you doing to your tree here? All that plastic garbage, that's not good. Whoa, did you take it out of the planting container even? Bro, you gotta get rid of that plastic. You gotta allow the roots to push out. The other thing too is make sure they're not getting too much water, because if it's rained a lot and you're irrigating, that might be overkill. Oh, I did it again. I said the K word. Sorry, not JK. I just said the KILL word. Oh, going to Facebook jail. Going to Facebook jail. Wouldn't be the first time. YouTube jail and LinkedIn jail. Man, I'm making all the interwebs mad. Glad I could help. But yeah, it's not unusual for them to early defoliate. What you can do, Jeff, you can take your thumbnail, you can scratch, do it on the underside of the limb, because that's always less impactful to the tree structurally long term. But essentially what you do is you just take your thumbnail and on the underside of the limb, just scratch it a little bit, and it's either going to be brown or it's going to be green or kind of a mixture. Green means the limb is alive. Even if the leaves aren't there, that's not uncommon. Sometimes trees will defoliate early as a means of preserving themselves. It's a survival technique a lot of times. And so, yeah, sometimes they'll defoliate early. It's not uncommon for sycamores to do that. I had somebody call it, he's just making up words. He's another BCMA, but he just made up words. They called it bideciduous. It's like, that's a stupid name. It's just defoliating, man. That's the word for it. So anyways, hope that helps, Jeff. Yeah, do that scratch test and just scratch the underside of the limb and see if it's got green tissue on it. If it is, don't freak out, man. Do some radial trenching on it. See if you can get the tree to grow a little bit more. And then, really watch it during the winter or during the fall. That's when you're going to really be able to tell whether it's working or whether you need to replace the tree. So here's a quick little video for you, but Christine's got a really good point too. It is definitely buried too deep. Yeah. And you got to get those root flares exposed. That's going to be super important. We're moving on. Amy's asking, can someone please tell me what the black spots are and how to treat them? That looks like a bleeding wound canker issue. That could be a borer issue though. Yeah. The health of the tree is compromised. Let me tell you, that's can it be treated? Yes. I'm going to give you the same ones as before. This is really wonderful stuff. That's going to be more of a generic fertilizer. And then, look at me. Sorry. And then this stuff is Humates Plus. This is going to feed the microbes, which will in turn feed the tree. And they will also feed the beneficial microbes. That's the key. Not just any microbe. You don't want just any microbe. You want the beneficials to consume the bad guys. So spray that Humates Plus on there. That'll feed a lot of the endo and ecto mycorrhizals. Spray the Microlife Ocean Harvest. That's going to feed a lot of the beneficial bacteria. That'll create a healthy culture. Yeah, it looks like almost like a Phytophthora type of disease. Where you at, Amy? Louisiana. Yeah. Depending on where you are in Louisiana, it may be swampland there. It does look dry for now. A lot of pine needles I see on the ground. It's like a water oak, maybe. I'm not sure. Check your herbicide levels too. If you're spraying any type of weed spray or granulars, if you're putting down weed and feed, that could definitely be causing some of the issue, or at least contributing to some of the issues there. Amy, I'm not sure, to be honest, but yeah, that looks like a bleeding wound canker to me. Oh yeah, and I see like the discoloration all in that area. Looks like maybe it stemmed from a wound that didn't compartmentalize very well. You got a really stressed tree here, Amy. Let me know if you want to get on an arborist consultation. I'd be happy to help guide you in the right direction. I need a little bit more information to really put together a good game plan, but yeah, that's a mess. That's a big mess. Those poor trees. I hope that helps, Amy. Yeah, like I said, let me know if we can help further. But try that Humates Plus in the Ocean Harvest. And that Ocean Harvest, like I said, that's really good stuff. It's like a general fertilizer, but not too bad. Marianne is asking from San Antonio. What's up, neighbor? You're over there in the desert of Central Texas. Edited to add. Will this hack job damage this beautiful cedar elm? Yep. It sure will. That was easy. Moving on. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that should never have been even considered as an option. Severely disfigured. It'll survive. It's an elm tree. Need to flush those logs down to the branch union. Freaking tree guys talking about their crotches all day long. It's a branch union. Show a little class, you guys. Yes, it'll probably get sun scald. That's what I would be worried about too. Horribly destructive to health. Yeah, I mean, you're getting some great answers on here. It has damaged it. Good Lord. That's awesome, Christine. Yeah. Even JK's like, what on the frig? Those are some like, holy cow eyes. Yeah, I'm sorry, Marianne. That's, this is why I have a job. This is why I do this, is because y'all have no idea. Public service announcement. Most tree guys are not tree care guys. They're tree killers. That's a perfect example. I know so many guys would be like, oh, yeah, you got to cut that one down. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they hit metal? Like, what are you talking about, bro? There's no metal right there. Not that I wouldn't. I mean, maybe I'm wrong here. I tell the story about the bike frame in the maple, like 30 feet up in the tree. That happened. I hit metal up there. That was for sure. That was crazy. Actually, I didn't cut it, but if I did cut it, I would hit metal. Now, that is just really, really bad arboriculture from somebody that has no idea what they're doing. And very glad to be here to make sure to dispel these things, because now y'all are watching. Now you know. Don't ever let guys like that touch a tree. They're terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible what they do. Moving on, I have 2 horse chestnut trees. The one with the great big leaves is doing great. The other one looks awful. Is there anything I can do to help it grow? I don't know. We need pictures. We need pictures, Alan. What you got? That is not a good picture. Alan, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to move on, man. Feel free to post again, just to a completely separate post. And, excuse me, throw some big up close, far away, whatever pictures, but we got to have a little more information. I can't possibly answer that appropriately. What are these on the leaves? Those are galls, y'all. That's hackberry, I think. Hackberry gall, I believe. That is a cottonwood or a poplar of some sort. That is a hackberry, I think. That looks like hackberry galls. What? It says, oh, maybe the comment was Lucas posting about us commenting. Yeah, hackberry galls are generally not very bad anyways. Gall. What's that bump of growth, y'all? Gall is so common, usually not a big deal. Gall. Yeah. Gall, what is that? Gall are chalcid wasps, typically, sometimes some other critters. But it's basically they're laying their eggs inside of the leaves, and then the tree actually is what's causing that funky look and growth. It's not actually the eggs. It's actually the tree just growing around it. Whenever the insects sting the tree, it basically kind of messes up the hormone on it. And so they've usually got like various toxins or whatever they put in it. By the way, mosquitoes, they have a lot of those too. They'll actually, as they're injecting into your arm or your leg or back or whatever, they're actually putting a mild anesthetic in there. And that's what they're doing, is they're trying to make sure you don't notice. Now, if you're like me, you notice and you unalive them. But yeah, that's gall. You don't really have a lot to worry about there, Anonymous. Other than if you see it going crazy, if you see that on every leaf, then yes, it's a bug. It's a bug. Chalcid wasp. There, JK. Yep, bugs. A lot of bugs out there. Most of them, I think it's like 99.99999% of the microbes and the bugs are actually not harmful to your trees. So y'all quit worrying. These are under crabapple tree. Is it root or a root of something else? The leaves came from one, but not sure which. That's a mulberry, I think. Crabapple. That doesn't look like crabapple to me. It looks like mulberry. Am I wrong? Feel free to tell me. Oh, yeah, that might be crabapple. Okay. Let's see. Copy. No, I'm just asking robots real quick. Let's see what they say. Crabapple, I don't get a lot of. Actually, we don't have any of them here in the deep south. Mulberry, that's okay. It's saying mulberry too. Yeah, that's a mulberry. I don't think that's part of your crabapple. It may be underneath mulberry or underneath the crabapple, but That's definitely a different tree. So yeah, looks like you got a whole ecosystem going on there. You know, and honestly, it's really hard to tell just from the roots. Now, I have actually been on litigation cases where we had to identify various roots compared to other various roots to determine whether or not certain roots were damaging the house, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it's very possible to figure out what kind of tree it is just from the roots. But I'm really glad you put that picture there too, because that really helped. Yeah, leaves came from one, but not we're sure which. That's a mulberry, not a crabapple. Oh, hopefully that helps. Moving on. Uh-oh. These are doing great for about 3 to 4 years. Then they started unaliving one at a time. One side would start getting brown and the whole arborvitae. Ugh. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is it a drought? Is it too much water? What direction of the face? David, north, south, east, west. Let's oh my goodness, there's 55 comments in here. That's amazing. I love it, you guys. Y'all keep up that good conversation. It looks like there was a whole conversation. Their drain tile behind the wall. Do you have winters like I do in Minnesota? Yeah, I would say I give them a good soaking with a hose. When? How often? That's my next question. A lot of times when you have these raised beds too, you've got brick behind it, you've got stone down below it, and it creates like this really big. We call it a heat island. Is the terminology we use. On top of that, I'm wondering if they added drainage to that. Usually, when they're building these retaining walls, it's really important to add drainage to it. Otherwise, you So, where's my interwebs? Oh, hey, I'm back. What's going on, guys? Was that a fire hydrant in the picture? Oh, yes, it is. That's great eye, JK. That's hilarious. I didn't even see that. Yeah, it looks like maybe you've got water pooling in that area. So I would be willing to bet money that there's probably some fungal issues going on. You can kind of see on the side that's not affected directly by the unalived tissue that there's kind of some discoloration. That can often be like a vascular wilt. Vascular wilt type fungal pathogen. There's two primary types of fungal pathogens, y'all. There's the kind that clogs the veins or the vascular tissue of the tree, and then there's the kind that actually eats the wood. So typically when you've got too much water, that's not going to be the fungal pathogens that actually decay the wood. It's typically going to be like clogged arteries for trees. So anytime you've got a tree, there's what you're looking at is actually a series of a bunch of different tubes. So you've got a ring, that's 1 year's growth. There you got another year's growth. You got another year's growth. I can't even draw a circle, y'all. Y'all get the point. So the only living tissue on a deciduous tree is going to be the outer 1 to 2 layers. That all is filled with transport vessels. They basically take water. This is looking from the top down. So here's the crown up here. The roots are down below. So these roots are going out and they're finding all the water and their minerals and they're transporting that up the tree. And then it's kind of like millions of little drinking straws all around the outer edges of the tree. And we call it the cambium region. That's where you probably heard the term xylem and phloem and all that. That's where all of those are. And they're basically like blood vessels that essentially connect one leaf up top to one root down below somewhere. And that's how, as the tree expires and puts off those gases and water vapors through the tree, that creates a negative pressure and it pulls it up just like drinking out of your glass of water or whatever you happen to be drinking. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's I think that's a vascular wilt type disease. I don't see wood decay fungus. I don't see bugs. I see holistic. Yeah, and that's a great point. Now he's saying they're arborvitae, so I think it's a little bit different, but that's a really good point, Michael. Is and I love that you're bringing that up because that is, Ceridium canker is so bad for like cypress trees. It's so common. Cypress trees just it's like epidemic levels, like everywhere I see you know, what's that? Y'all, did y'all ever see Sixth Sense? I see dead, unalived trees. They're everywhere. You know, like that's the story of my life, anyways. So yeah, I think that water is pooling in there because of the walls, and I think that is that's causing vascular wilt type fungus. It may be Ceridium if it is a cypress of some sort, like Italian cypress, Leland cypress. All those are really susceptible to Ceridium canker, and there are currently no known cures for it. So, all right, we're moving on. Cheryl's asking, where you at, Cheryl? I don't know. That's a great name, by the way. Mom, that's my mom's name, by the way, but she spells it with an S. So she's a little cooler than you, Cheryl. Nothing personal, but she's got the unique version. It's less common, anyways. Can someone tell me what's going on with my tree? It has holes all over it. It's like we got another good conversation here, you guys. Oh, I was part of that too. Major in the that's oh yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I had to delete a guy. But they were attacking Christine because they were like, oh, bugs don't make nests, boring beetles don't make nests. Like major in the minors, dude. Hey, what's up, Sprouting Arborist? Yeah, we had to change it, dude. I'm sorry. And I was sick as a dog. So this past week has been like hell week for me. I have a lot this week. So yeah, I was like, I just came to a breaking point where I needed to go to bed early. And right now it's 9:30 where I'm at. So that ain't early in my book. But hey, really glad you're here, dude. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to go back on it and watch the rest of it. You're about an hour and 26 minutes into the live stream, but really glad you're here, buddy. Thanks for doing that. And man, I'm excited for you. Sprouting Arborist, by the way, is a youngster, a soon-to-be arborist, not even old enough to climb trees, at least legally. I had a CC race today. I don't know what CC is. Closed caption. Yeah, borers. But Christine's right. Essentially, is there are borers that are going after it. What they do is they lay their eggs inside of the trunk, and then cross country, sweet. How'd it go, man? That was actually my game back in high school. I did pole vaulting, hurdles, football, baseball, basketball, soccer, and cross country. I loved doing sports, all of the sports, and cross country was, it's funny. Like I was an arborist just waiting for a career path. But I used to run. We would stop at my buddy's house while we were training. We'd train on like 6-8 miles or whatever as kids. We'd stop, we'd get cigarettes, go fire one up and light it, keep running, and we get one, stuff it in the back of our ear, and then light it later on. And just keep running. The coach caught us a few times. So anyways, then I grew up and I had an addiction. So that's not good. But yeah, you got some borers. We'd really have to figure out exactly what they were and what to treat them with and all that. But the main thing is you got to give the health and vitality up of the tree. Again, everything regarding pests and pathogens that will attack a tree are almost always they're almost always secondary. So the tree got stressed first, pests came in and took advantage of the stress tree. Hope that helps. We're moving on. Oh yeah, we did a poll. What was that? 5 days ago, we hit 2,000 people. We started this just a few months ago, less than a year ago, and it has just blown up. So thank you guys so much for being here again. That's just a reminder to thank y'all. So we're crushing it. I'm in Texas. What's up, neighbor? This tree went through the big ice storms, and then we had some horrible straight line winds. We had those too. What? Nice, dude. Well done. I've been repairing all summer and preparing, and it was great. Good job, man. That's awesome. Preparing, not repairing. Yeah, I got it. Well done, dude. Junior varsity, man. That's exciting. Keep that up, man. Competition's a big part of life, I think, at least for us guys. Y'all women are way more agreeable, and it's not all about competition, but I love a good competition. I compete with myself most days. Second picture of the huge rotted bottom branch that unalived several years ago. Should we remove that rotted part off or leave it? Yeah, there's what's called bark tracing, and bark tracing is essentially where you're just cleaning up the wound. So let's take a look at it. I'll show you kind of what I'm looking at here. Let's see if we get paint up. I may as well just do a little mock-up on this one. So let me take a screenshot here. What happened? Where'd you go, homie? I hate technology, if I hadn't said that already. All right, we're gonna copy that. Did it copy? Do you copy? Roger that. Roger. You're dating yourself, Lucas. I think that looks like a cedar elm to me. That looks like a cottonwood. And the other one looks like a cedar elm. Yeah, that looks, that could be elm. That could be American elm. Almost Americana. Almost Cedaro. Sorry, Cedara? Something like that. I think it's cedar elm and an American elm. Both of those do pretty well here. The American elm's less. I think that's cedar elm. Or American elm, rather. It's hard to tell. You've got a girdling root here. I'll say that, Vicky. Trim some weight off the backside or you risk falling. Yes. So weight reduction is one of my favorite things to do. Reduction, pruning, and weight reduction. Well, what are you doing back there with that chipper? Looks like trees, maybe. That's cool. It almost looks like a more bark. So cedar elm, yeah. So what you can do is it's called bark tracing, and it's a really, really not well-known portion of my industry, and I think it should be. Humble opinion. Nobody asked for it. So let's take a look at this. So what you can do is actually just draw. Let's give me my pen here. You probably need a better color than that. And let's get a huge paintbrush. So what you want to do is basically just don't cut it all the way out, but just take a chisel and hammer. You get a chainsaw and you can like start chopping big portions of it, but be very, very, very careful not to damage that lower portion there, or the new tissue coming in here. But what you could do is just trim that off, and that'll create kind of a nice even portion for the tree to grow over as it seals. But most of the time you don't want to mess with it too much. So that all that tissue fortunately is completely unalived. But yeah, somebody mentioned, I think it's Torin actually. Torin, who are you, man? I don't know you. Thanks for being here. You're answering a lot of questions. I'm really impressed. Brought up a pretty good point on one of these pictures. Yes, due to the way they seal over wounds in time. Yeah, right on. That's great advice. I also saw, like I said, Torin was commenting on there. I'm going to recommend maybe doing some little extra resources for the tree too. Give it some little extra TLC. That stuff is awesome. But essentially, Torin's right. I think you should maybe consider doing a little structural pruning on these trees, but I'm not seeing the whole picture here. So it really would help to maybe see the full canopy. Bark trace is very possible on this cedar elm as well, by the way. I'll go ahead and do that one for you too. So kind of the same thing. Oops, that's not what I wanted. That, and I wanted that, and I wanted that. Woohoo. Okay. So on this, you've got a little bit of a jagged point there. Try to chisel and hammer those a little bit more flush. Just, again, be very careful not to damage the tree. Same thing, just follow the path of that damage there, and just kind of get some of those sharp edges out. It's not necessary, but sometimes it just helps the tree do its job, which is to compartmentalizing. That's awesome. Yeah, so I'm getting texts from some of my tree buddies. This is Michael Gabrilsi. He's been on there commenting. He says, and y'all tell me what you think here, but I'm just going to read it off to you. Dude, keep asking everyone to subscribe. Y'all, go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. I teach this stuff. It's just look for Ask an Arborist. Or no, that's where we're at. Just look for Arborist on Demand. Sorry, I don't even know what YouTube channel I do. Yeah, if you just look up, it's at Arborist on Demand. You'll find me right there. I'm the one with a little house and the tree on it. So that's hilarious. When I pull up YouTube, the first thing that pops up is Elmo's World, school, alphabet, food, and more. So I am putting videos out 3 times, 4 times a week or so. I was doing it a little more. Now we're to a point where I'm in busy season is busy, y'all. I'm like slammed with work and just trying to keep my head above water and dealing with some health stuff and dealing with some life stuff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, that's a really good point is, Yeah, Michael, I'll get back with you, but we really need to super chat. My answers are giving real value. Oh, thank you. Michael's such a great guy. He's a great arborist too. But hey, and by the way, thanks for connecting me with I forget I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name, but Kat met us out there actually. It was really great meeting her, and we were talking about she's a landscape architect. We were talking about she just wanted to be there to learn, just to see what was going on with those trees. But I think we're going to put together a nice report for them, send it off to them. Hopefully that'll help with the purchasing of the home, or it's a commercial property actually. But Michael, thanks so much, dude. You're awesome, man. He's like I said, he's a phenomenal consulting arborist like me, and just a great guy, just a great dude. And congratulations again on the new family member, buddy. I'm really excited for you guys. You got a long road ahead of you, but that's life. Moving on, Tack Freeze. I'm in San Antonio. This tree was doing beautifully, but then our contractor replanted it to put in a sidewalk. It immediately wilted, and he said to water it on the drip for 40 days. That's insane. You don't want to water. No. Oh, we got 37 comments. Oh, wow. Yeah, bad timing on moving trees. I agree. Yeah, don't overwater it either. Dig down 6 to 10 inches and see if you can find a pool of water. Yeah, Tack, I'm sorry, man. That's wrong time. Bad advice. Oh, great question. Yeah, so Sprouting Arborist was asking, what's the difference between the Ocean Harvest and the Humates for the MicroLife products, by the way? So the Humates Plus is just Humates. That's all it is. We can look up the ingredients here. The Ocean Harvest is Humates. Yeah, more minerals. Yep, that's absolutely true. Great answer, JK. More minerals. It's got more fish emulsion, rock phosphates, blood meal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's more of a complete type fertilizer hybridized with a biostimulant. The Humates Plus is purely biostimulant, purely. And so, yeah, the Humates Plus is more of a just recreating a healthy environment for the soil. The Ocean Harvest is actually going to have some fertilizer properties to it. So both are great products. It just depends on what your tree needs. So this has 4% nitrogen, 2% phosphorus, 3% potassium. Oh, sweet. I love it. Yeah. So that's great. While I've been taking care of my trees, I've been laying down Humates Plus solid and then watering with Ocean Harvest. That's brilliant, because what you're going to do, the Ocean Harvest has some beneficial microbes in it as well. And so that's actually going to feed them. And tryptic soy agar. Yeah, that's like basically amino acids and proteins and things like that. So the Ocean Harvest you see here does have humic and fulvic acid, arconite, calcium phosphate, select sugars, and so the molasses is going to be part of those select sugars, and it's got fish hydrolysate, however you pronounce that, Eclonia maxima kelp. That's going to be a good nitrogen source and just an overall health boost. So the Ocean Harvest, in answer to your question, Ocean Harvest is going to have more, like, it's going to be a holistic and overall product. This is going to be just like purely biostimulant, the MicroLife Humates Plus. So Humates, humic acid, fulvic acid. I think that's pretty much it, actually. Clay soils and sodic soils. So yeah, it's going to bind to a lot of the salts and the clay, and it's going to open up and basically just reculture the soil. That's and a lot of the carbon in the Humates Plus is actually going to feed the beneficial microbes as well. So that's the big difference. The Ocean Harvest is more of a complete fertilizer, sort of hybridized with a biostimulant. The Humates Plus is purely biostimulant, not designed to fertilize at all. It may have like trace amounts of fertilizers, but okay, so this is a great question. So you never, ever, public service announcement here. Y'all gonna look at me. What's up, guys? You never want to fertilize a newly planted tree. The reason being is salt takes water out of cells. That's what my 6th grade science teacher taught us. She said, salt takes water out of cells. And I don't know, it's just stuck. But like, essentially, fertilizer is salt. Those salts draw water out of the soil and out of the root system of the tree. And so you can overdo it very quickly and easily with fertilization. However, I almost always add Ocean Harvest. The reason being is those fish emulsions in the seaweed acts as a wonderful root stimulant. Very mild. You can see those very low numbers, 4 to 3 is extremely low. I know people that put 30% nitrogen fertilizers on their soil. That's crazy. You don't need that. Y'all know why? 78%. Take a breath, guys. Take a breath. What's nitrogen smell like? We don't know. We'll never know because we smell it. 78% of the air that we breathe is nitrogen. If the microbes are doing well, they will pull nitrogen out of the air, convert it to nitrogen, NH3 or NH4. Oh, that's basically the tree soluble version of nitrogen. Is they will convert the nitrogen into a form the tree can take up. That's going to feed the tree. By the way, if you feed those microbes in the air, they will feed the leaves. If you feed them in the soil, they will feed the soil, and they'll get nitrogen on both fronts. So when we're looking at extremely stressed trees, I will actually feed more of the microbes than I will feed the actual tree and get great results from it. So I love taking trees from the grave and reviving them. We're working on, I was just on the phone with one of my super cool clients. They're a developer over in Arcola. And man, we have been babying these trees. Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah. And oh yeah. And I guess I just put raw molasses in the watering can too. I love it. That's great. Yeah. Blackstrap molasses or cooking molasses. Make sure they're high quality ones. Those are going to add a lot of trace elements to that the tree needs in very small quantities that they're not going to get elsewhere. So yeah, molasses is great stuff. But keep in mind, you can't kill cancer with molasses. So you need to, if you've got a bug or some sort of problem, sometimes you gotta suppress the pathogens. You gotta stop the bleeding. You've got same thing with any disease is you attack the pathogen that's hurting humans, that's hurting us with an antibiotic, and then you work very hard to make sure that you get the right nutrients that your body needs so that you can feed the immune system as well. Trees have an immune system just like we do. We need vitamin D. They need molasses. So anyways, we're moving on, guys. I'm getting bunny trailed all over the place here, you guys, but I love it because that just means we're having a great conversation. So Cheryl, great name again. Again, that's my mom's name. Where are you from? We don't know. Is this tree 50 foot plus unalived as the roots cover the ground? No, totally normal. No, absolutely not. You know, a lot of people see this. Sorry, sprouting arborist. Yeah. So how do I mix the molasses? Agitation. I just mix it up. I mean, that's plain and simple. I pour it from the bottle and then garden hose it in. Yeah. That's, you want to be careful with that, JK, because a lot of times molasses, because it's so sugary, just don't do that on the leaves because you can actually burn the leaves pretty quickly doing that because the water droplets, we were talking about the refractometer, how it amplifies light, and that's how we determine the measurement on the refractometer is same thing with the molasses. You can it's pure sugar basically, like the 128 different types of sugars depending on the quality, and so that can actually kind of act like a magnifying glass that can burn the leaves. So just be careful with that. But basically, you just agitate it, like mix it up, and the molasses will mix way better than sugar. But if you think of lemonade, you're taking cold water and you're mixing it in, and so you can do the same with molasses. So it'll mix in with the water. It might take a little effort, but getting back to Cheryl's question, don't worry about those roots. They're fine. What you want to worry about is if they start to unalive. And then, yeah, you might want to cut those little baby girdling roots there. They're not bad, though. I wouldn't even consider that a girdling root. I'd consider it just a crossing root. That's a technical term, by the way. Yes. Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. So sprouting arborist, I'm guessing the sugar helps the microbes and tree get energy. Maybe it's a silly conclusion. Yes, no, that's not a silly conclusion. That's absolutely right. The microbes, most of the beneficial ones, are going to consume sugar. The tree actually is made of sugar. So I'll give you another great product from MicroLife is this soil and plant energy. It's basically humates and molasses. It's basically that's all it is, like humic acid and molasses and essential energy, all soils and plants. So trees, and I do a full presentation on this, by the way. We just talked a little bit about what are trees made of. It turns out here, let's go through tree science, y'all. Trees are about 45% carbon. About 45% oxygen. Those of y'all that are mathematicians, we're about 90%, guys. That's a big portion of the tree. By the way, hydrogen makes up about 4 to 6%. Again, for all y'all mathematicians, where we at? That's 96% of the tree. C, O, and H. Guess what sugar is? C6, H12, O6. That's what the leaves make, by the way. So when you over prune a tree, what you're doing is you're removing the tree's ability to produce the photosynthetes that it needs as basic building blocks to build the leaves, the more leaves, the roots, the trunk, the branches, etc., etc., etc. By the way, nitrogen, guess what? 3%. Only 3%. So these companies that sell all of the, I'm not going to name names so I don't get sued or unalived, but it's a scam. I'm sorry, because our air is 78% nitrogen. So if the bacteria is working, the tree's getting nitrogen. You're good. So y'all stop fertilizing with chemical nitrogen. It only causes problems, typically. It can be a great instant quick fix if you need to get the tree to do certain things. But most of the time, you can avoid that altogether. Getting back to Cheryl's question again, my bunny trail skills are on point tonight. So got to invest in legumes instead. Absolutely. All those beans and clovers, another really good one, are a great source of nitrogen. They'll sequester it. And then as the unalived tissue decays and drops down to the ground, the microbes are going to convert that and put it right back into the plant. So, yep. Clover is a really, really great turf grass as well, by the way. It forms a really nice little blanket there, little ground cover. So no, I'm not worried about your roots, Sherilyn. What I would be worried about is if you start doing things to them. 50-foot tree, that's a lot of leverage. So don't damage the roots. Don't put too much soil on it too. But what you can do, you can start gradually. You're cracking me up there, Michael. You can start gradually raising the train. Don't do it a lot at a time. No more than about an inch on a stress tree. All the textbooks say 2 inches, but I really am hesitant to go more than half an inch or an inch, honestly. That's that much soil that the water has to get through and the oxygen has to get through to get down to the roots, and that's critical. Yeah, I thought that's kind of the way I took it, Kristen, was, by the way, Kristen's another phenomenal arborist. I think you've been traveling all over the place, haven't you? Yeah, I think she's been all over the eastern side of the U.S., and she's a contract climber. I've never actually climbed with her, but I know you compete, so that says a lot. Competition climbers are a different breed. And also always a wealth of knowledge. So happy to have both you and Michael here. Thanks again for being here, guys. Y'all are awesome. And like I said, I'm just really proud of this community. Y'all are just crushing it, guys. Keep it up. All right. So next question, should I remove this tree? Should I cut this tree down and cut off the 2 smaller branches? I believe it is a silverleaf maple. I believe you're right, Megan. The main branch broke off when a cow stepped on it as a sapling. That was rude. Not unusual. Aminals don't care. They don't know all the sciences that we're talking about, guys. I know I should have just pulled it out of the ground then, but I didn't. It's leaning quite a bit too from the wind, and it's on a hillside in my front yard about 30 feet away from the house. I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, those silver maples, that make sure it's structurally pruned. Yes. Long story short, yes. You want to slowly remove these branches. I do not want you to remove them all in one fell swoop, because that can be very harmful to the tree. But before you do that, you've got to get in there and remove that soil from the base of the tree, because that will actually unalive the tree and cause it to fall on your house. So right now it's not 30 feet tall, so therefore it will not hit the house 30 feet away. That's just simple math. Was that Pythagorean theorem from 2nd grade or whatever it is? It's leaning towards the house. Oh, it's on the bottom of the hill though. Bark inclusion. Yep, definitely some bark inclusion. That's a great point, JK. You are learning and growing. I like it. Yes, so you got included bark. You do have a bunch of structural weaknesses, mainly the ones you've identified, Megan. I think you're on point there. What you want to do is, instead of removing those limbs altogether, you want to reduce them. So let's get back to the drawing board here, y'all. I'll show you. So you've got a tree, and it's got two kind of co-dominant, you might call that a tridominant branch union. You got a lot going on that one branch union. What you want to do, you don't want to hack, chop, and slice these off, because that's two really, really big wounds on the tree. Very, very bad. Let's go back to it. I'll show you. So these are the limbs we're looking at. You've got, here's your central stem is your primary apical dominant lead. These are competing for dominance. Now, unfortunately, it looks like they've been pruned, which has forced that growth even further to compete. So whenever you're pruning those limbs here, that's actually going to push the growth upwards. So now you've got these branches that are competing for dominance. What you've got to do, you've got to train the tree, plain and simple. So you got these limbs coming here competing for dominance. You also got other limbs branching off. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I like maples have opposite branch unions. One of the few. Maple, ash, dogwood, buckeye, mad buck have opposite leaf arrangements. Just simplify leaves. So what you want to do, Megan, is you want to start reducing the height of these. Now, you don't want to do a lot. And what you want to do is maybe train it to grow laterally, not vertically. You want it to train laterally. So you want the growth to start coming in here. And what that's going to do is you'll start to get some of these interior branch unions on the tree will actually start to say, oh, wait, now there's sunlight. I'm going to grow that direction because there's sunlight. We call it phototropism, growth, photo being light and tropism being growth towards. So the tree's always looking to capture sunlight through the leaves, every single plant. And so, well, most plants anyways. Algae technically is a plant. So it's also doing the same thing, but mushrooms sometimes are kind of like cell wall-less plants, sort of. Obviously, I'm not, and that's not my field of expertise, but they basically, all trees are looking for growth towards the sunlight. So when you start stunting these branches and start training that out of it, what's going to happen, that's going to push more growth into this upper limb, and it's going to stunt growth into these lower limbs. You want to do that very slowly. In the winter, of course, is usually best. But essentially, you're going to retrain this tree. It might look a little awkward when you do it. And then essentially just structurally retrain the tree. I'll give you a great website to go to. It's treesaregood.com. What I'm going to do one of these days is on my website, I'm going to have a full training guide to essentially how to train a tree properly. Because these little decisions that you make early on in the tree's life can have a profound impact on the overall lifespan and the number of problems that it gives you. That's a great point. Sprouting Arborist saying silver maples love multiple leaders. Try to prune those separate leaders to be less of leaders, but helpers. I love that. I'm gonna start using that, Sprouting Arborist. That's amazing. Better to have something there than nothing. Reduction is good. That's exactly what we're talking about. But treesaregood.org or .com has a wonderful actual pruning guide for smaller trees like that. It's taken forever. I'm running out of time now. Education, tree tools, tree chures. What tree is a tree ordinance guideline? Community tree recovery, backyard, woods, nature. No, that's not right. Arbor Day lesson plan. That could be it. Conservation, energy, nature explorer. Trees and their uses. That's more. Maybe that's not right. My tree book, getting to know trees, Arbor Day, blah, 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 tree cookies. Anyways, play around on their website because that's a really good like layman's resource, if you will. Treesaregood.org. Tree owner resources. choosing the right tree, managing. Here it is. This is what I was looking for. Pruning your trees. Pruning young trees is what you're looking for. And maybe I'll put this up on my website too. It's a free resource for you. But they give you just kind of a really good guide on how to start training a tree. It's really important. There's actually 6 different kind of parameters that we use whenever we're pruning a tree, and that's all based on all the research out there. How to create a perfect tree, whatever. And so that feel free to play around on their website. They've got some awesome things. By the way, mine's bigger. Oh, there's not even work. Way to go, ISA. I love these guys that don't do their jobs very well. So ISA and US Forest Service came up with the Tree Owner's Manual, but it don't work. So guess what I got, y'all? Check it out, check it out, check it out. Well, maybe if I can find it. I'm still here, don't leave me. Like I said, mine's bigger. So I actually, this is the book, a complete guide to owning a tree. This is essentially everything you need to know from planting a tree and choosing the right tree to pruning for fruit purposes, all the way up to disease management and even construction management. And it's all, this is like essentially as big as the Certified Arborist Study Guide. This is all text, by the way. All this text in there. It's 180 something pages already, and I haven't even added all the cool pictures. So I'll let you know when I come out with that, when it's finally ready. Just for reference, there's their version. So cute, so tiny. It's got great information. I have nothing against this, but I just don't think it's as complete as it needs to be. So mine's bigger. Sorry. I told you I was a very competitive human. That's why I competed climbing trees back in the good old days. So let's go through about 2 more of them, guys. It's getting kind of late, past my bedtime anyways, and I've had a blast hanging out with you guys. Thank y'all for being here, and again, just being a part of this community. Y'all are what make it possible and make it real and worth it for me. So Sean is asking, howdy folks, please take a look at the pics and advise me on the best way to handle this situation. Wanting to resaw the entire... Aww. Turn comments off. That's okay. I wouldn't try and lay solder on the tree roots. A layer of compost and mulch would do much better for the tree. I agree. That would be ideal. Christina is absolutely correct. You're probably not going to read this because you turned comments off, so you'll probably never see this video. But for those of you listening, if you can avoid putting grass around tree roots, that's always better. Anytime you do that, you're going to not suffocate per se, but you're going to stunt the tree's ability to get oxygen and water down to the roots. So it's always best if you can do it. Compost is way better. Compost and mulch is way better. If you do have to, just cut the sod away around the roots. Leave those roots and just make sure your lawn guys don't destroy them. So they will do that. They got all those big metal tools coming at them. So, all right, let's do 2 more because that was lame. Hi all. Planted this Chinese pistachio almost 3 years ago. My bad. Doing fine until earlier this year when I noticed it had an inch of air gap around it. The base as if the dirt was shrinking despite watering every week or so. Maybe that's the problem. Finally unalived this summer. What does this cross section look like? That cross section looks like it's had a bunch of decay pathogens for a very, very long time. The discoloration you can see is the beginning of decay. Here's what happened is it started on the edges. It looks like it unalived that tissue, and then the tree just kept the fungus just kept pushing past those barriers. All those rings are like a barricade. It's like a wall that the fungus has to bust through. And so I talked a little bit about it in here, but yeah, that's a mess. That's a mess structurally. I didn't even see your comment, James. Thanks, Matt. Is that due to overwatering? Yes, I think it is, James. I think that's how it probably started. The rest is, of course, as they say, history. But yeah, oh yeah, this is great. I can see years of warfare in that trunk. The spread of pathogens, the compartmentalization of decay, black lines visible through the stain. That's exactly what I was talking about is, yes, the tree sealed, the fungus pushed past it. The tree sealed, the fungus pushed past it. That's the history of your tree right there. Recognize the fungi, but the tree put up a good fight for a very long time. I agree. Yeah, sorry that happened, James, but there's your biology and your physiology a little bit for you. All right, let's do this one last one. Ooh. Yeah, two more. Let's go two more. Amy Joe from Michigan. Pretty sure these around the tree are stems from the tree. Yes, you're right. Can I cut them back, the roots and all, or will it unalive the tree? I have no idea what's going on. I do. Those are epicormic sprouts. That's great, JK. Yeah, going back to James's. Hey, chill out. The tree's like, hey, chill out, fungus. Nope, tree, rude. Yeah, they got a whole history there, man. That's like, I love that the tree's been through. What'd you call that? Warfare. I see years of warfare in that trunk. I love that. That's exactly what's going on. Oh, sorry, sprouting. I think I told you about the crab apples I prune them the proper way, and they're actually compartmentalizing faster than I thought they would. Crazy how proper pruning helps. Yes, y'all, topping is bad. Don't top a tree. The tree does not have the proper tissue to seal those wounds, but when you do it right, and when you do it early, like Sprouting Arborist is doing, and you start training them structurally instead of just hack, chopping, and slicing like we were looking at those big maple leaves, or those big maple stems. So coming in and making big wounds like this is very, very bad for the tree. It doesn't like that. It takes a lot of energy to seal those wounds. And you just remove the tree's ability to produce that energy to seal those wounds because you took off leaves. That's what the tree eats, is the leaves photosynthetes that it makes. So yeah, no, that's wonderful. I love that, Sprouting Arborist, that you're seeing some actual real results by pruning those smaller, doing those structural pruning, and they're compartmentalizing well. And yeah, that's a great testimony to doing it right. But anyways, Amy Jo is asking, will it unalive the tree if she removes those sprouts? I have no idea what's going on. The tree already looks sickly. I took all the ground cover from it, and I was afraid to cut these out. I think you should leave them, Amy Jo. You've got two things going on here. You've got water sprouts, which are epicormic sprouts, and you've also got some root suckers. Both of those are reactionary growth to stress. You did the right thing. You're spot on taking those Asian jasmine or whatever it was, the ground cover that was there. That's good because you're taking away the tree's competition for nutrients. That's a very good thing. The other thing too is a lot of those ground covers will actually trap fungal pathogens trap moisture around the base of the tree, and then that can in turn create really bad fungal pathogens. So great job, Amy Jo, taking that ground cover away from there. That's a brilliant thing. What I would suggest is maybe you got to improve the overall health and vitality of the tree. This is a very stressed tree that I'm looking at. And that's like I said, that's a reactionary growth. That's like the tree's like, whoa, I need more sugar. I need more leaves to be able to function. I'm not doing so hot. So as a last ditch effort to save the tree, it puts out those new baby sprouts from the roots and from the trunk. By the way, if anybody calls the above ground stuff like that, those are epicormic or water sprouts when it's on the branches and the trunk. When it's in the ground, it's suckers. If they call the stuff in the tree suckers, they don't know what they're talking about. Fire them, find a professional. Sorry, y'all, that's if you don't even know what it's called, you have no business taking care of it because you're not taking care of it. You're not a tree care expert. You're a tree unaliving expert. Humble opinion. So what I'm going to say is try this stuff, the Microlife Ocean Harvest and the Humates Plus. That might be just the kick in the pants that your tree needs to really start course correcting and start developing some healthy new growth. But leave them alone for now, Amy Jo. I think that's going to be really important, that you let the tree just grow and do its thing, because that's exactly what it's doing. Yes, no, I agree. This is a perfect example of when humates and molasses are going to be your best friend. And by the way, you can actually take the humates. Yeah, I think the rocks are far enough away. Yeah, I think they're okay. They're not too bad. That's not damaging like the structural roots, and it's not like ground cover rocks. So I think they're okay, but I think Sprouting Arborist, you're absolutely spot on. Is humates and molasses are going to be really good. And again, that's stuff that you can buy from me, or just get them. What's that old Carter commercial where they're helping people get off drugs and stuff? They say, if you don't get help from Carter, please get help somewhere. So I would suggest maybe the same is you got a really stressed tree, and you got to do some things to get that healthy. This is my personal favorite brand out there. The reason I like Microlife products is because they make a far superior product. It's very pure, very good grade of quality products, and they make it in just the right amount. So sprouting arborist asking, how often should you apply molasses? Very good question. You can do that very often because it's not a fertilizer. You're not actually fertilizing the tree. It does get minerals, so that's a good thing, but you're not actually pumping a bunch of chemical things in there that are going to shock the tree in many ways. So you can do that on some plants. I'll do that once a month. So it just depends on where the tree's at. And it's kind of like taking probiotics is like, how bad is the situation? You know, how rough are you doing? You might want to start pretty slow and start to gradually build up to it, just depending on how much pain you want to have in your gut. But the molasses, the humates, those are generally pretty mild. I would not do the ocean harvest quite as often, maybe once a quarter or so. But yeah, a lot of those products you can dump it on there, and it's almost like without consequence. Almost. I have seen some things, so it is possible to damage it with those things, but way better than pumping a bunch of chemical nitrogen in there. Ooh, great question. Should I start this or next year? You're probably fine to start now. Make sure, again, you're not putting a ton of molasses down when it's super hot, because you can burn the leaves. But yeah, you can probably start now. Start it in the morning and then just kind of like spray it up in the canopy, or late at night. Oh, yeah. For the tree you planted this year. Yeah. Like I said, I do a root dip in my own special blend, but I put the Soil and Plant Energy, Humates Plus, and the Ocean Harvest in there. I also do one called the Bioinoculate, which is a granular, but it's got a lot of endo and ecto mycorrhizals, which will help restructure the soil. So moving on. Hope that helps, Amy Jo. Madeline's asking, help, I got this red bud a few months ago. I've been noticing the leaves looking like this with some holes in them. You got bugs chewing on it. I noticed the bottom of the tree today and wasn't sure what to think. I don't know anything about plants or trees, but I'd love some input. Live in Missouri, beautiful Missouri. It's a great state. I like that place. We used to go to Missouri, Columbia, and about once a quarter because, that's great advice, actually. That was the closest Lyme literate specialist. My wife and I both have Lyme disease, and so it's a nasty bug. I don't recommend it personally, but remove the bamboo stakes. That's good advice. Yes. Guys got really solid advice too, along with Christine. Y'all are awesome. Just solid advice all the way around. I bet you're right. I didn't even think about that. So if you remove the mulch and dirt until you find the first root growing off the trunk, you will get some useful help. Very, very solid advice. Guy Mayer he's just a wonderful human. He's a great guy and a leader in our industry. And you'll see guys like Guy and some other guys like Lindsay Purcell popping in here. These are guys that teach the teachers in our industry. They literally train the trainers, and they're coming on here answering y'all's questions. So solid advice from Guy. I think you've got a tree that's planted in a stressful environment. Realistically, it was probably planted in too narrow of a planting container. Generally speaking, you want, let's just do this. Let's go over just kind of some brief planting 101, y'all. And we're going to call it for the night because I'm exhausted, you guys. But it's been a great episode. I'm really glad all y'all came to hang out with me tonight. But let's see. So when you're planting a tree, most nurseries, the soil level is too high to begin with. What you have to do is remove that and correct any root malfunctions. A lot of times you'll have roots coming across and they'll grow around and they'll compress against the trunk of the tree. And what that does, again, if we go back to our tree biology, that's going to basically take the tree. It's kind of like wearing a tourniquet. You and I wouldn't walk around with a tourniquet on us. Why put your trees under the same stress? So you got to expose the root flares. You want that flare to come real big out. I generally go by like 45-degree angle or more. It's going to depend, right? A lot of that is just experience that I have from out in the field. Where's the tree at? And I'm looking at all the different aspects. There's problem one. So you've got too much soil up on the trunk. You've got to expose that. And Guy's absolutely right. Find those root flares. That's where you want your tree level to be. The other thing that happens, most people take a root ball like this and they dig a hole like that. Here's the problem. Those roots are already wrapping around from a container, or they just got severed because it's a ball and burlap tree and they're trying to regrow all those fibrous roots to absorb water and minerals. what you really want to do when you plant a tree, you want to go at least 2 to 3 times the diameter. So if you've got 12 inches of root ball here, you want to go 36 inches, 12 inches here, and 12 inches at a minimum. Now, if you've got a really heavy clay soil, keep going. Like, keep going. I have on like parkway trees where you got street here, like street here, little grassy patch here, sidewalk here, street. And then you got all these little trees planted right here in the middle. And there's just no room for them to grow. So what I'll tell them is go 8 to 9 times the diameter. What you're doing is you're disturbing that soil so oxygen and water can infiltrate better. The other thing too is that gives the tree plenty of time for those roots to grow before it starts running into that hard packed clay or soil on the outer edges. So it's really, really important to go wide enough. Now, I would be willing to bet. Oh, I love it. I'll get to that here in just a second, JK. That's hilarious. I have actually had clients run out. What are you doing to my new tree? But here's what JK is saying. I almost jumped out of my skin watching your video about cutting up the root ball the other day. So I will literally, I don't have any knives on me. Here we go. Here's a knife. I'll take a knife and I'll take that wine, not wine, I'm drinking wine. I'll take that root ball and I'll just start slicing up all around it. And literally I've had clients just come out and like, you're killing my tree, unaliving my tree. Sorry, I just got put in YouTube jail again. So like multiple times. And I have to explain to them, like, this is what you want to do. And that's a really great point, JK, is let me move it over just a little bit so you can see a little better here. But essentially you got the root ball. All of those roots are compacted in there. It's just one big tangled mess. So what you can do is take a knife. It's going to feel really dirty at first, I promise you. The first time I did it, I was like, I'm literally just going to have to buy this new tree again. But it didn't. It actually thrived better than everything else. And that was just based on the research. Like, smart people have come before and figured these things out. So you got to break that up. If you haven't done that already, Madeline, go ahead and take a shovel and start sticking it in there and breaking up that root ball just a little bit. Maybe make 4 slices in it, and that's going to help the roots start to spread out and grow the right direction. But so common when you've got a tree and it's planted wrong, you'll wind up with all these little problems that you're experiencing, Madeline. And so just do a few things to correct that. Head over to YouTube. We've got some great videos on this kind of stuff. Just go into my playlists and you can actually find what is it? New tree planting and establishment. That's where you want. And that'll just give you some great ideas on how to unalive a tree when installing planting it at your house. So what's up? That was a speech for the University of Houston here locally recently. So anyways, I've got all kinds of resources on there on our YouTube page, Madeline. I'd love to have you come out there and hang out with it. Hang out with us over on the Tubes of You. And again, I've got 200 some odd different videos on there, and it's all designed to help you guys out because trees are very, very, very important to us, y'all. And they're wonderful assets. They're appreciating assets. They are really good survivors, and they're worth having. In fact, y'all like eating, right? I know I like eating. You can probably tell maybe a little too much. A lot of our food comes from trees. And so if nothing else, we build our houses out of trees, y'all. Like, they're really important parts of our lives. So that's exactly why this channel exists. This group exists, is to help you guys take care of the trees that you love and live under and around. So same thing with the YouTube channel. I don't get paid on that. Michael was talking about doing super chats. I don't get super chats. I don't get paid on this. I've worked countless hours to produce really good content for you guys because it's worth it, because that's just one way that I can pitch in and make this world a little better place. So really appreciate you guys being here and being a part of this community. Again, we have grown and grown and grown and grown like crazy. Oh, my bad, Sprite. I meant to answer this question real quick. Is molasses a soil or leaf application? Great question. JK was saying she puts it in the soil. I put it in both. whenever, especially like on a really, really stressed tree, I'll spray it way up in the canopy, and that goes a long ways. But again, everything we're doing is for you guys. And like I said, I'm just really thrilled to see the community grow in the way that it has. And y'all are just doing a wonderful job of being a part of this group and sharing and liking and pushing that out there. By the way, if you haven't yet and you're still here with us 2.25 hours later, hit the like button. That really goes a long ways to helping the algorithms push this out there so more people can see this great content and come be a part of our community. So love you guys, and thanks again for being here. Again, if y'all have questions and need a closer inspection, head on over to arboristondemand.com and just sign up for a digital arborist consultation. And again, telemedicine has existed for decades now in the medical industry. I have no idea why more guys aren't doing this, but I found it's a really, really easy way for me to have a large reach. And again, we can figure out most of the time what's going on and get you going in the right direction. So if you need a closer look, feel free to drop more comments and questions in the group. We'll get to them eventually. But also, if you want a more one-on-one, what did I see? Third picture with the thumbs down. I'm missing that, Sprouting. Where are you looking? I missed it. I've been bouncing all around though. So anyways, y'all, I'm going to call it for the night. Thanks again for being here. And happy Labor Day weekend to you guys. Be safe out there. Have a wonderful long weekend. And we'll catch you next Tuesday. Come hang out with us. Appreciate y'all.